setting up at a news desk. Susan?
Here are today's top stories. We have a fuzz.
Thank you. Breaking news. Susan just removed a fuzz from my hair.
Hey, it's Sue.
And Megan in the restricted section.
And today we're going to talk about some underhyped books that we really love and think you should read.
Definitely. I had to have Sue review my list because I'm just really out of touch and I think that things are underrated, but they are not. So,
and we're drinking this, which could be terrible. And it is called Out of the Lunchbox, and it's by the Bruery. And it is a ale brewed with lactose, with peanut flour, boysenberries, and salt added. So it's basically a PB&J beer. Here's what it looks like. Looks murky.
It does.
There's a lot of sediment floating around. I don't love it.
I'm not really getting peanut butter and jelly. I'm getting chocolate.
It has that, like, when things are fake chocolate flavored, it has that vibe to it, but I don't think it actually tastes like chocolate.
Yep.
It tastes, I can get the boysenberry, I think. Like, I taste the jelly part. But it's not very peanutty.
No, it's not.
It smells more peanutty than it is, I feel.
Yeah. I'm not getting a whole lot of peanut.
But I'm not super into it. It's not bad, but, I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not great.
It's not great.
So I said we should do this video basically as an excuse for me to talk about this book, which is We Die Alone by David Howarth, and I was really excited because I just found this copy at the thrift store. I read this book probably when I was like 16, and it was actually for an assignment in school, but we got to choose our own book to read. We had to do like an oral book report. And I, for some reason, chose this. I probably saw the title and my, like, angsty emo teenage self was like,
we do all die alone.
We do die alone. But the story is actually really uplifting. It's a nonfiction, so a true story about this man who, I'm probably going to butcher his name. He was Norwegian, I believe, but his name was Jan Balsrud. Someone Norwegian. Celia? Isn't Celia Norwegian?
I think so, Celia.
Celia, please tell me if I
help a sister out.
Was terrible at that. But during World War II, he and some other, men were sent on a mission to Norway from England, I think, to like train the people there, because this was when Norway was occupied by the Nazis, and they were supposed to like train the people there in combat, I think. But the Nazis spotted their ship and attacked it, and he was the only survivor, and he got away, but he then had to make his way through Norway into Sweden. I hope I'm getting this right. Because Sweden, I believe, was not occupied, so he was trying to get to safety. And the shit that he goes through, I mean, talk about harrowing. Like, he should have died multiple times. And that's kind of where the title comes from, is like, if he hadn't had people risking their lives to help him out, he would have died. So, we die alone, but he wasn't alone.
He wasn't alone.
But I loved it at the time. I haven't read it since, so I don't know, but I feel like it's nonfiction. Like, the story,
it's not gonna change.
Would, still hold
awesome.
up. So I really just like unexpectedly loved it
awesome.
when I read it at age 16. But I love this copy that I found. Like, this isn't the edition that I read. The one, I actually remember what it looked like, and it was just a plain gray hardcover with no dust jacket or anything. But I found this one at the thrift store and was just like ecstatic because it's just like everything I love about old vintage paperback mass market novels. The cover is just awesome, and I love it.
That's awesome. I, of course, am going to mention We by Yevgeny Zamyatin. I'm not going to talk about it a ton because I already have talked about it a ton, but it is a granddaddy dystopian novel, and it inspired 1984 quite heavily. But yeah, it was written, I think, in the 20s in Russia, obviously, and then it was, I think it was translated, but I don't think it was allowed to be released in Russia until much, much later. It was banned for a while. But yeah, it was very awesome. I loved it a lot. I think if you're into dystopian literature, you should most definitely read it.
I really need to read it. Yeah, I was going to mention at the top, and of course I forgot, but I tried to pick books that I haven't talked about recently, because of course you know that I never miss an opportunity to mention The Song of the Forest.
Real talk.
But I didn't include it in this list because I just like recently talked about it in a video and talk about it all the fucking time.
It's awesome and you should read it. So.
But the next one on my list is The Sasquatch Hunter's Almanac by Sharma Shields. And I read this just last year, and it's pretty weird.
It's pretty weird.
Not the weirdest book on my list, though. It follows the life of this man. And you also get different perspectives, too, but it's mainly focused on him. And it starts when he's a little boy, and his mother leaves, he and his father, and walks off into the forest with a man who appears to be a Sasquatch. And then he kind of becomes obsessed with proving that Sasquatch is real. But there's also like other fantasy things, like at one point there's like a unicorn, and then there's these other creatures, so there's like weird magical stuff in here. But I really liked it. Yeah, it was just really interesting. I also have like a weird obsession with Sasquatch, so maybe that could have been part of why I enjoyed it. But it is, I will admit though, there are parts of it that are like kind of gross.
Oh.
So be warned of that, because like they talk about poop a lot for some reason, and then like Sasquatch, you know, the Mr. Krantz, the Sasquatch, he like has sex with human women, and it's weird, and yeah.
Even Sasquatch needs some nice. So
yeah, I guess there aren't any female Sasquatches around, there's just him, whatever.
Gotta get some where you can get some, I guess. So next, I was going to talk about Herland, a lost feminist utopian novel by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. I absolutely love this copy too, by the way. But yeah, so this is a really interesting novel because it's kind of like a utopian novel mixed with like an adventure novel, because these men in like the early 1900s go on this expedition and they come across this utopian society of all women. And so it's about them and their experience with that society and trying to come to terms with the fact that women can exist outside of men and without men, and some of them have quite a difficult time with it. I love this book, and I think that Charlotte Perkins Gilman is most commonly known for The Yellow Wallpaper, but I think that this one is amazing. And there are notes in it, so whoever had it before me wrote in it, which I also love. And they wrote on the front, in the front cover, it says, "They have cats. Of course they do."
So the next one I have is called Count Us In, and this is by Jason Kingsley and Mitchell Levitz. It's called Count Us In, Growing Up with Down Syndrome is the
Full title.
Yes. But this is these two men who have Down syndrome. It's them just kind of talking about themselves and their own experiences. I think it's like really important to read from their perspective and to understand like the struggles they go through, and to understand also that like they have the same hopes and dreams and and things that everyone else does, you know, like yeah. So I really liked it. And I think that it's just one of those books that everyone should read.
It sounds really
sadly, it doesn't have very many reviews on Goodreads. So, everyone should read it.
Read it. So next, I was going to talk about Anathema by Rachel Deering, Christopher Mooneyham, and Wesley St. Clair. This is a graphic novel, and the last I knew, this is the only volume that exists. Which is really sad.
Because this was published in what, like 2015 or something?
I think so.
So it's looking maybe not so great for the second volume to exist.
Yeah, 2015, April.
Yeah.
So that's a
Which
big
is a
bummer.
Yeah, because this definitely doesn't have like a definitive conclusion.
No, and that I would read so many more of these.
Yeah.
But it's about these women who are in love, and one of their fathers catches them together, and he's like a puritanical minister, and so one of them, I don't want to ruin it. So he catches them, and shit goes awry, and yeah. But this is,
and it has to do with werewolves,
yeah,
as you can see from the cover.
Here.
Yeah.
But it's magnificent. The artwork is really pretty.
I just keep holding out hope that maybe she'll write another one.
I sincerely
publish it. But this one I think was like maybe done with like a Kickstarter campaign or something. So
yeah.
Well, it says Titan Comics. I don't know. Maybe not.
I should write a strongly worded letter.
You should.
Dear Sir or Madam.
At Titan Comics.
At Titan Comics.
Please publish a volume 2
of Anathema.
Anathema.
This is an issue that I feel very strongly about, and I appreciate your concern. Thank you, Sir or Madam.
Alright, so the next one I have was a cover buy that I got randomly at a used bookstore. Because look at this fucking cover.
It's a sweet ass cover.
It's amazing. There's, I don't know if you can see, but 2 of the like buildings here are actually smoking guns.
Smoking guns.
But this is called Who is Teddy Villanova? And it's by Thomas Berger. And it's kind of a satire of like the noir, like private eye novel. And I thought it was really funny. It's very like zany and kind of nuts, like you don't know what the fuck's going on half the time. And the language in it is very highfalutin as well.
Highfalutin.
But I really enjoyed it when I read it, and yeah, I thought it was quite good. And again, hardly anybody has read this, and I've never heard anyone else talk about it, so
it sounds like a lot of fun.
If you like private eye novels
or zany
check it out.
Satires, then
yeah, because I don't even read private eye novels, but yeah, I enjoyed it.
So next I was going to talk about The Wanting Seed by Anthony Burgess, because I think that Anthony Burgess is much more well known for A Clockwork Orange, but I liked The Wanting Seed much better.
Really?
I did. I really I want to like A Clockwork Orange, but I really have a hard time liking it because it's a bunch of nonsense words, which is fine, and like I can understand it and whatever going through it, but and then just so rapey, and I don't know.
Yeah. I think I kind of liked him about even.
Really?
Yeah. But I do. I mean, I do think. Oh. Randy and Mr. Leahy.
That was in my book.
Oh, Mr. Leahy.
Mr. Leahy's dead
R.I.P.
But yeah, so this is a kind of about a, utopian society or dystopian society where it is kind of glorified to be homosexual, and heterosexuals are kind of...
because of overpopulation, so...
Right. And so heterosexuals are kind of treated the way that we treat LGBTQ plus folks now.
Yes. Alright, so the last one I have to talk about this time, maybe we'll do another Underhyped reads.
Because I figure out what Underhyped is.
I had a hard time narrowing my list down. But I went with Dolly City by Orly Castel-Bloom. And this was translated from the Hebrew, I believe, by Dalia Bilu. But this is one of the weirdest books I've ever read.
Sounds pretty cool.
It's fucking crazy. But it also is kind of a satire on like the Jewish mother archetype. Mm-hmm. And so it's about this woman who finds a baby in the garbage, and so she decides to keep the baby, but she is overbearing in the weirdest ways. Like, wow. She gets worried that the baby is like, maybe the baby only has one kidney. What if he only has one kidney? So she cuts him open and counts his kidneys, and there's only one. So she goes and murders another baby and takes his kidney and puts it in her baby. And then after she sews him up, she starts to worry, what if I counted wrong and he had 2 kidneys all along and now there's 3 kidneys in there? So she cuts him open again, and sure enough, there's 3 kidneys in there. So she takes that extra one out and then like later on, when the kid's older and is like 8 or 9 years old or something, she like literally sews him to her back and carries him around on her back.
Like you do.
It's just fucking bizarre. But I really enjoyed it.
Sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah. So I would check it out if you're into like just weird shit.
Yeah, if you're into
check it
fucked
out.
up shit.
Yeah.
Read it. And lastly, I was going to talk about The Geek Feminist Revolution by Kameron Hurley, which I've heard people talk about, but it doesn't have that many ratings on Goodreads.
No, and I don't know that I've heard many people actually talk about having read it on BookTube.
Right.
I feel like I've heard people mention that
it.
like they're going to read it. But the only person I can remember who actually has is Janelle, I think.
Yeah, I really liked it. It's a collection of essays by Kameron Hurley. I recently just bought one of Kameron Hurley's novels, The Stars Are Legion, but I haven't read it yet. So, but I really liked the essays. I thought they were cool. I thought it was a cool take, you know, talking about nerds and sexism in that corner of the world, and yeah, I dug it. So
I plan to read it for my Read Harder
challenge, if you're fancy.
Yeah.
So,
and that's it.
That's it.
This beer I still don't care for.
This beer's kind of gross.
It's not the worst, but it's not very good. But let us know if you've read any of these.
Yeah.
And let us know if you want to read any of these if you haven't before.
Right. What are some of your favorite underhypes or underrated books?
Yeah. Because
we'd like
love
to know.
to read them.
Yeah. Because maybe it'll give me some more books to talk about.
Yeah.
Help us out. But yeah, so there's going to be some links down below where you can find us elsewhere on the internet.
And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.